Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. As always, I am Alocide. So let's have a beer and talk some video games. This week the internet has been flooded, absolutely flooded with articles and news regarding the SimCity debacle that's been going on. And frankly, I'm kind of scared as to what this might indicate for future video games coming down the line. As I talked about last week regarding the Xbox 720, there's been rumors that there's going to be always-on DRM for everything that comes out on that system. I don't like the implications of that, especially since a single company can't support one game, let alone an entire library of them. So how is EA handling all of this publicity? Well, not well, to be honest. They started by offering refunds for players, but they decided that they would ultimately be fucking themselves over and not making any money, so they kind of reared back on that deal and have not been very helpful in terms of giving people their money back. Now, I'm not quite sure which company suggested that this title be a DRM-only affair. I'm not sure if it was Maxis that wanted to do it this way or EA that kind of forced them into their origin bullshit. But we did get a nice blog post from the senior VP from Maxis, Lucy Bradshaw. She said, "We realize that this was dumb, but we are committed to fixing it. In the last 48 hours, we increased server capacity by 120%. And it's working. The number of people who have gotten in and built cities has improved dramatically, and the number of disrupted experiences dropped by roughly 80%. She goes on to apologize, which I think is unprecedented for any gaming release, but it still doesn't really make up for the fact that this game is having such major problems. So for any of you that have been dealing with all this server trouble, I really hope that they get their shit figured out, because the game actually looks pretty cool." Let's move on to some less frightening news, or disheartening, I guess. This story probably got buried a little bit under all the SimCity crap that's been going on, but there was a story that dropped regarding the Boy Scouts of America, and they'll be actually offering a merit badge for game design and development. I have an admission to make. I was a Boy Scout for approximately 2 weeks before I got bored and I dropped out, which is probably one of my life's greatest regrets. What it entails? Well, they spent about 2 years developing this whole process. It requires them to analyze different types of games, both for content and theme, which to me sounds like this is a merit badge intended for the older clique of Boy Scouts, Wolf Scouts, Cub Scouts, Polar Bear Scouts. I don't know. After they've completed that step, they're actually asked to go on and apply this knowledge by designing a game of their own, by keeping a notebook full of their rules and their design ideas, and then actually gather some feedback from their test group, which I'm assuming would probably be their fellow scouts. It looks like they'll actually be accepting anything ranging from card games all the way up to smartphone apps. I mean, if you're a scout at the age of like 15 that can put together a smartphone app, good for you. So that about does it for news that caught my eye this week. Let's move into a new segment that I'll call the playlist. Things that I've been playing recently. So I'm going to start with my newest obsession, I guess we can call it, because I've been talking about this shit on every forum that I belong to, and people are probably getting tired of it. I guess I'm still in like that honeymoon phase of owning a new game that I haven't ever played before. And I have to say that my most recent purchase is probably the best decision that I've made so far in 2013, and that would be Persona 4 Golden. I've never played a Persona game in my life, so jumping into a brand new series is like exciting. It gives me a charge. Like, I have no idea what I'm getting into. I haven't read anything regarding the gameplay other than maybe little bits and pieces of like the story, but from what I've seen, I haven't read a bad thing about the game, and so far I can agree with it completely. I am so engrossed in this game that I can't stop thinking about it. I played it for like 6 hours yesterday and I didn't do anything other than just talk to people. The storyline gets you right from the start. It's incredibly engaging with this kind of murder mystery. It's kind of cool because it juxtaposes like all this graphic imagery against like this really cartoony this cartoony art style. And it's actually got an M rating, so it's kind of cool. Other than the story, the characters are all extremely likable and they're pretty realistic. And I think what makes that is the voice acting, which amazes me because voice acting is kind of hit and miss when you're getting a translation. I'm pretty early on in the game still, so I'm probably not terribly deep into the battle system and all the persona building yet, but it seems like it's going to be an extremely deep, we'll call it a crafting system, in which you combine your personas to create new ones. So I'm pretty psyched about this purchase, since it seems like I'll be dropping quite a bit of time into this one. So that about does it for the show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything else to add that I might have missed regarding any of these stories, make sure you leave a comment down below. I always like starting conversations about these sort of things. I'll also make sure to put some links to the stories I was talking about down below in the description. And yeah, if you want to come back and have a beer with me next week, make sure you subscribe. So I'm Alocide. This has been fun. Y'all have a good weekend, and I hope you like the beer that you're drinking. And if you don't, have another one, you'll forget all about it. And remember, when you're enjoying alcohol of any sort, make sure you do so responsibly. Cheers, everybody.